What if I told you that humanity already possesses most of the technology needed to begin building a civilization across the solar system? The problem is not physics. The problem is us. For thousands of years, humanity has been fighting against nature. But today, humanity's biggest obstacles are increasingly human-created. Corruption, war, pollution, short-term thinking, and the cost of these problems is far greater than most people realize. Because every year spent fighting ourselves is a year not spent building the future, and the future we are delaying could be absolutely unimaginable. A future where humanity colonizes space, resources become virtually unlimited, and a future where work itself becomes optional. Tonight, we are going to explore how much faster humanity could advance if it solved its own self-created problems, and what kind of civilization might emerge on the other side. Most people assume that humanity's greatest challenge is a lack of technology, but technology is advancing faster than ever. The real bottleneck is how efficiently humanity organizes itself. Think about it. Humanity spends trillions of dollars every year on things that produce little long-term progress. Wars destroy infrastructure. Corruption diverts resources away from innovation. Pollution damages ecosystems and human health. Political conflicts delay major scientific projects. Imagine trying to build a spaceship while hundreds of people continuously remove parts from it. That is essentially what humanity is doing to itself. Our civilization generates enormous wealth and knowledge, but a significant portion is wasted fighting problems that we created ourselves. Now imagine a different world. A world where corruption becomes rare, governments are transparent, international cooperation becomes normal. Scientific progress is prioritized over political competition, and where renewable energy reduces pollution dramatically. Suddenly, humanity gains something incredibly valuable. Not money, not technology, time and resources. Because the amount of wealth humanity currently wastes is staggering. Every year, humanity spends more than $2.5 trillion on military spending alone. Corruption is estimated to cost the global economy over $3 trillion annually. Pollution causes damages worth trillions more through healthcare costs, lost productivity, and environmental destruction. Combined, humanity wastes an amount of wealth every year that could transform civilization. Now, imagine redirecting only a portion of these resources. Every household receives solar panels, battery storage, gains access to clean drinking water, and every household owns affordable electric transportation. Suddenly, electricity bills begin approaching zero. Fuel expenses collapse. Living costs fall dramatically. Families spend less money simply surviving, and more money improving their lives. A future where energy is abundant, transportation is cheap, and basic necessities are easily accessible would free billions of people from financial pressure. And once humanity no longer spends enormous resources fighting its own problems, it can finally focus on something bigger, expanding into space. Predicting the future is difficult, but we can estimate. At our current pace, humanity might establish permanent self-sustaining settlements on the Moon and Mars sometime during the late 21st century, perhaps between 2070 and 2100. True large-scale space colonization may take well into the 22nd century, but that timeline assumes humanity continues operating as it does today. Now imagine global cooperation improves dramatically. Research accelerates. Infrastructure spending increases. Scientific talent is fully utilized. Space programs receive consistent support. Under those conditions, many milestones could arrive decades earlier. Permanent lunar cities might emerge by the 2050s. Industrial asteroid mining could begin during the second half of this century. Large orbital habitats could appear before the end of the century. The difference may not be hundreds of years. It may be several decades. and decades matter enormously in technological civilization. One of the greatest limitations on Earth is resources. Not because Earth is poor, but because Earth's resources are finite. Space changes everything. The solar system contains an almost unimaginable amount of raw material. Asteroids contain iron, nickel, cobalt, platinum, gold, rare earth elements, water, and many of these resources exist in concentrations far higher than on Earth. Some metallic asteroids contain more metal than humanity has mined throughout its entire history. Imagine an asteroid only a few kilometers across, containing trillions of dollars worth of material, and there are millions of asteroids. Suddenly, scarcity begins to look very different. The solar system becomes humanity's warehouse. With access to nearly unlimited resources, humanity could begin constructing projects that seem impossible today. Not because we lack ideas, but because we lack materials. Imagine orbital shipyards larger than cities, gigantic solar power satellites collecting energy continuously and beaming it to Earth. Massive rotating space habitats housing millions of people. Artificial islands larger than countries. Global climate control systems. Planetary defense networks capable of deflecting dangerous asteroids. Interplanetary transportation systems connecting worlds throughout the solar system. Space elevators, orbital rings, lunar industrial complexes, Mars-wide infrastructure. Entire industries may move off Earth. Mining, large-scale energy production. Earth could gradually become cleaner while industry expands into space. But perhaps the biggest transformation will not happen in space. It will happen here. Automation is already replacing human labor in many industries. Artificial intelligence continues improving. Robots continue becoming cheaper. Factories become increasingly autonomous. Eventually, automation expands into nearly every field: agriculture, manufacturing, transportation, construction, mining, logistics, maintenance, household services. Many jobs that currently require humans may eventually require little or no human involvement. Machines will grow food, clean buildings, repair infrastructure, manufacture products, mine asteroids, and build spacecraft. Human labor increasingly shifts from necessity toward choice. This is where things become complicated. Many people imagine a future where automation automatically makes everyone wealthy. But technology alone does not guarantee equality. The outcome depends on how society chooses to distribute abundance. If automation benefits only a small group, inequality could increase. But if civilization successfully manages its resources, a different future becomes possible. A future where food is abundant, energy is extremely cheap, housing is affordable, healthcare is advanced, material needs become easy to satisfy. In such a world, the concept of poverty may gradually disappear, not because money becomes worthless, but because basic necessities become so abundant that they are accessible to nearly everyone. This is one of the hardest questions to answer. Some people believe it could happen within decades. Others think it may take centuries. A realistic estimate may be somewhere in between. Partial automation of most jobs could occur during the second half of the 21st century. Highly automated economies may emerge around the end of this century. A civilization where most people work primarily by choice rather than necessity may arrive sometime during the 22nd century. Not because humanity suddenly becomes perfect, but because machines become overwhelmingly capable. However, people may still choose to create, to explore, to invent, to teach, to build art, to conduct science. Work may not disappear. The need to work for survival might. The greatest obstacle preventing humanity from becoming a spacefaring civilization may not be technology. It may be inefficiency. Every war delayed, every act of corruption prevented, every scientific breakthrough accelerated, moves humanity slightly closer to a future that once seemed impossible. A future where cities orbit planets, where resources are measured in asteroids instead of mines, where machines perform most labor, and where humanity finally expands beyond the small world that gave it birth. The question is not whether such a future is physically possible. The laws of physics do not forbid it. The real question is, can humanity overcome the obstacles it created for itself before time runs out?